I think we're ready.
All right,
I think
all
we're
right,
ready. Time to start the dang show already.
You said it was going to be doom and gloom. We're just trying to get some laughs in before.
Just trying to get some levity in before we start. Yeah. All right. So welcome everyone to episode 20, oh my gosh, of the Starcraft 2 Weekly Whine Live. I'm your host Ace, and today I'm joined by my good friends Brock and Miro. Say hello.
G'day.
Hi.
Hello. And as always, I set this up because I've always enjoyed open and honest conversations about balance, but I feel like it's a little hard to find in the community sometimes, so I hope to do my small part to change that with this show. If you enjoy, please consider giving a like or subscribe. And with that, we're going to launch into today's topic, which is going to be BlizzCon and the state of Starcraft. Because we're like, what, 3 weeks away from BlizzCon? BlizzCon is... hang on, I should know this. It's like September 12th. Yeah, there we go. 12th and 13th.
That is 3 weeks, yes.
Yeah. 3 weeks away. Exciting. And this brings back lots of memories. But yeah, so things are kind of crazy with the state of Starcraft right now. And we got a lot to dig into. So, first things first. You know, I think we got to talk about the rumored Starcraft shooter. Starcraft Ghost, finally? Extraction shooter? What do you guys think?
Like
Are we actually going to get this?
So, I mean, I remember years ago when StarCraft Ghost was like the big project they were doing before StarCraft 2 came out. And I remember my brother and I being so excited about it. And then it got scrapped before it was like even a big deal.
Yep.
I don't think that's actually what this is, or it's not going to be what StarCraft Ghost was originally going to be. But any StarCraft game I would be interested in, even if it isn't an RTS, because I get those aren't the most popular style of games these days. So, you know, if it happens, awesome, but the reality is I'm not the most hopeful.
Yeah.
Okay. Side thought. StarCraft, but XCOM.
Ooh, I'd be down.
That would actually be kind of cool.
A
That'd be
turn-based
kinda
game like that.
I genuinely would absolutely play that. And the reason I bring it up is because then there's a new Star Wars game that is basically Star Wars but XCOM.
Okay.
That has come out. That is coming out. Yeah, there is.
Ooh.
It's called Zero Company. I will link you a
Interesting.
video to it.
Yeah, that sounds kind of cool. I mean, doing that with StarCraft would definitely be interesting. I also remember the original StarCraft Ghost hype, and actually I have kind of a funny story, and this is one of those stories that it's one of those, like, your older brother tells you something and you're like, do I believe you? Because sometimes you bullshit me. But I kind of believe him.
It's older brothers and older cousins. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. Like, sometimes they just bullshit you because you're the younger brother and it's funny.
Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, so he told me that he actually played it in a booth at like E3 or some shit like that. Yeah. So he actually like played it in a booth, and like I asked him about it, and he, like, if I remember right, he said it was pretty cool. Like, you could be like a Hydra and like a fire bat and like a couple other things. And it was kind of like a deathmatch shootery kind of thing that they were playing. Like, they weren't playing the campaign. It was like some sort of like free for all, you know, like Halo deathmatch or something, but it was StarCraft units. And I was like, that sounds pretty cool. But he didn't really tell me anything other than that, so I have no idea if that's even true.
I think
I'm
that
not
was
sure.
a thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like that was the thing.
From the footage we've seen and things like that, it seems like that definitely could have been like a thing that existed, but I haven't actually seen any footage or anybody else talking about like that game mode. It seems like they were mostly talking about the single player. So, I don't know. Interesting. The other thing that, you know, I think me and Miro probably got to talk about here is that Helldivers is fucking awesome and very StarCraft adjacent with the universe. And if we had, you know, a Helldivers but StarCraft, holy shit, I would play the fuck out of that. Like, I would play that so much.
Yeah. So I actually do want to touch on this because I know someone has been modding Helldivers to have StarCraft units in the game.
I've seen that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
hysterical.
it looks
would
so
be,
sick.
It does. It looks really, really sick, and I'd be very curious because I feel like if it's done properly, a StarCraft 2 extraction shooter like that would be fucking incredible. Like,
Yeah, that would definitely be
brilliant.
sick.
You know, Helldivers, like StarCraft and Helldivers need to do a fucking crossover.
Yeah. Even just a war bond, if we got like, I mean, I don't know, the fact that we didn't get Warhammer power armor makes me think that we wouldn't get Marine power armor, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you could still do like a miniature Gauss rifle or something like that, or you could use the Ghost C10, C20
Right,
canister rifles or whatever.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like that would be really cool.
Or like the Reaper pistol as a secondary.
Yeah.
And Reaper
yeah.
grenade that bounces units. Yes.
Like there's plenty of things that you could do, or you could have. I mean, we kind of already have a jetpack, I guess, for Helldivers. Because you got
yeah. We already have the
jetpack.
Reaper. We have two actually. We have the hover pack and the.
We have the hover pack and the jetpack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fancy.
You can already
yeah,
kind of cosplay as a Reaper in Helldivers.
Cosplay.
Yeah, I mean, there's even a couple of helmets that would fit the aesthetic.
Yeah, totally.
So,
it's not that far off, you know. Yeah, I think having an official, like, actual IP in the universe would be fucking sick.
It would be, absolutely. I mean, like, Helldivers did a crossover with Halo and with Warhammer, so why not StarCraft?
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, if
it's a dead game. Oh.
well, here's the thing, right? If Microsoft has been willing to do it for Halo, who's
That's
to
very
say
true.
they couldn't potentially do it for StarCraft as well? Because, like, I guess they are technically run by different companies, even if Microsoft owns.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like they're under the same Microsoft umbrella.
Umbrella,
so,
yeah.
That's true, yeah. They should be able to. That shouldn't be the issue, yeah.
And Microsoft is, like, not even the worst about, like, their support of gaming. Like, they have a history of being, like, not actually corporate scumbags 100% of the time, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you guys know about, like, the Mech Commander series and things like that. Like, there's a couple series from Microsoft, but the Mech Commander is the one that I'm thinking of right now. And it actually, like, has been alive for a really long time and, like, has consistently produced, like, some pretty fucking good games, you know? And this is, like, over, like, decades, you know? So, like, Microsoft is capable of handling things correctly.
Yes, that is fair.
All right. So, you know, the other thing that everybody
back to StarCraft predictions stuff.
Yeah.
Because I never actually answered your question.
Sure.
I hope it is. I hope it is an extraction shooter. I would absolutely love a turn-based StarCraft like XCOM, but my gut feeling says it's probably not something quite as big as either of those. And I almost wonder if they're going to do thing that is a bit smaller in scope, try and get people interested in the game again.
Yeah.
What I don't want to see is a mobile game, which unfortunately the IP has been licensed out to a mobile company.
Yeah.
That's what I don't want to see.
So it's King Digital, right? I'm guessing.
I don't.
Or was it the other one? Because they have another.
It was Korean.
It's not.
It was a Korean company. I remember that.
It's not King that did. Hang on. Who did Diablo Immortal?
Oh, I have no idea. Actually, I can't.
Diablo
that game
Immortal.
existed.
I'm looking it up.
That was okay.
I thought it was
NetEase.
Nexon.
Oh fuck. That's right. I forgot about this.
I thought it was like Nexon or NC Soft.
think it's NetEase. Yeah, it's NetEase. Right.
Is that bad?
Okay.
Is that worse?
So we kind of jumped on a bunch of different things here, but like, and we're gonna circle back to this later, I think. But briefly, NetEase is a mobile game developer that kind of has a reputation of what's the word for this? Like,
is it NetEase or is it Nexon? Because I'm seeing things that are saying Nexon have it well, which I think is almost worse.
I see this from Wikipedia. It says NetEase. Anyway, they kind of have a reputation of like releasing the same game with a different skin, essentially. And my understanding is that that was what people were afraid of with Diablo Immortal, but they did a better job-ish than that. But like, what they did was they added like some more like puzzle platformery kind of things. So it's like, it's not just a reskin of their other games, but it's also like, that could have just been a different game. And then they acquired the IP for Diablo and then skinned it as Diablo, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit, And then the other thing that I kind of have to bring up briefly, which I'll circle back to later, was Activision bought King Digital, who's a mobile game company, way back in 2017, and they were planning to like license all their IPs out to them and have them make mobile games for all their IPs. And this is way back, like before the merger with Microsoft. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I don't see that happening, to be honest.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Really quick. Okay, what do you guys think are chances of StarCraft 3? Because I see a lot of people wondering this with the news about StarCraft, and it's like, I personally highly doubt that we're going to be getting StarCraft 3 announcement at BlizzCon, you know? And the question I have is really more of like, are we even ready for that? Because I think StarCraft 2 still has some life left in it, and I also don't really think Blizzard can pull this off. So I'm curious what you guys think about that.
This might sound silly, but I feel like StarCraft, like Blizzard making StarCraft 3 would be a mistake, because I don't think they have the ability to create the engine necessary to make StarCraft 3 better than StarCraft 2. And I also don't think that they have the talent to be able to do that.
That's a good point.
I think they are severely lacking in talent right now.
All the people who made StarCraft 2 left and went on to do different things explicitly because Blizzard had no interest in doing more RTS games.
Yep. And the problem is,
which we saw how that turned out with Stormgate.
Expect these people to come back, you know? Like, it's not like they're like, they can be like, oh, you know, now we do want to make StarCraft. Do you guys want to come back? Like, they have other careers now. They've moved on, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's true. There is definitely something to be said for that. But on the other hand, Chris Metzen came back to do World of Warcraft again.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I mean, so maybe, you know, I mean, like, that's a pretty good point, because, you know, like, for a lot of these people, working on StarCraft was kind of like their life, you know? So they would love to have that back, probably. So for a lot of them, yeah. But I think the thing that I was really bringing up was more just like, there is going to be a significant number of developers who have just moved on to other projects, and they're like not thinking about StarCraft anymore. Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. I agree with that. Yeah, the 2 cents I want to throw in is I feel like Blizzard's just shown that they have no interest in something like that. With, I mean, what was it? Was it 2020 that they stopped supporting the pro scene?
Yeah, something like that. 2018,
it was
maybe.
Like 20. No.
2019.
They stopped doing,
it was
stopped
around
doing
there.
Updates, and I think Blizzard's last direct update was like 2021.
21. Okay.
They left us with the Void Ray patch.
Yeah. No, that was not 2021. No way.
It was.
No way.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
I think it was about then. Well, but my point being, like half 5 or so years ago, they stopped supporting it. They basically said, we're not funding the pro scene. We're not going to actively be maintaining the game in that way. We're basically just going to put it in our classic games and kind of just let it still run and just kind of let it be. So like at that point, I mean, you could theorize what the reasons or ideas behind it were, but it's like they pretty clearly said, "Hey, we're not
done.
doing anything for this game," because the RCS itself, they said they just weren't making any money for it. They just had no reason to do it.
Yep.
So like they were trying to do the war chest and a few other little things like that with the
which made money. Like they made a lot of money off those.
Well, yeah, but
they
I think
did
one person mentioned, oh, what was the stat? It was one skin in WoW made more money than all of StarCraft 2 did.
That's
like, just that perspective
that's been
basically
kind of
them,
sort of debunked a little bit, but there is a qualifier that I have to add to this.
Truth.
Hang on. It does have some truth to it, because if you watched the David Kim interview with Harstem asked him about this directly, because David Kim, like, in his response to something else, he mentioned that they weren't making a lot of money off of StarCraft 2, like, microtransactions, right? So when they did the free-to-play move, like, it turned out to not actually be a good move, and you can't go back from that. So so like Harstem heard that and then asked him, because he was like, I was under the impression that the skins and the announcers and all that stuff and co-op commanders actually were doing pretty well. And what David Kim said was something along the lines of, it was really good for player activity, but the financials weren't really there. Something along those lines. So
yeah, so the point I was bringing up all that is that them as a company don't have the incentive financially, which basically means they don't have the incentive to do something like that. So based off that alone, it's like, why would they even consider it?
Yeah.
So I feel like the idea, some other kind of StarCraft game, I feel like has a possibility, but a StarCraft 3 as an RTS, not even the part where you mentioned about like, could they actually make it different or better than StarCraft 2? But it's like, they just don't have incentive. Yeah, it's like they don't have a reason to even like try.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would agree. You know, I think there definitely is a world where you can explain to Blizzard CEOs why it would actually make sense for them to do this, and they could make a ton of money, but it would be extremely difficult, because I think the thing that they really struggle to understand is like the value of trust in a brand and a company and an IP. You know, like the reason why Blizzard classic games have done so well and continued to sell so many fucking copies, like decades after they're released, is because the quality level of Blizzard games has always been super fucking high, and the level of support has always been super fucking high. Like, these are games that like almost never have any serious bugs ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's unheard of for like any other fucking company. You know, like that alone. And then you add like the level of polish and like how fucking quality they are. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, this company is, you know, buying stock in that company is just like a really great idea when you look at it from that perspective, right? Because, you know, your audience is going to have like a lot of trust in your brand, and anything you release, your audience is going to be like, I'll check it out, because everything else you make is gold, you know? But if you stop doing that, then people are going to go, Destiny 2? I don't know if I want to check that out. Overwatch 2? I don't think so. You know?
What do you mean Overwatch 2? It's still the same fucking game.
Yeah,
they literally
Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
But Ace, I think the thing you're forgetting is that people having trust in a company doesn't help their quarterly profits that quarter. So why would you need trust?
Yeah. It's like, the thing is, a lot of the people who ended up taking over, like, they're acting like, we're here to be stewards of this company and we're gonna shepherd it so it's, you know, successful for more and more decades. It's gonna be a lifelong, all this stuff, right? What do? Immediately raid the fucking thing to just fucking take all the scraps.
They just fucking...
Freaking sounds like private equity.
I want to touch very quickly back on StarCraft 2's monetization with the free skins and stuff, right? And because I watched the David Kim interview with Harstem, and to some extent I agree, but the war chest did make a lot of money. Here's the thing. It's everything that happened after the war chest, I think, that made it worse, because when they stopped doing the war chest, they released the skins, and each individual skin was like $10.
Yeah. I remember that
For a
pissed a lot of
skin,
people
which
off.
was, it pissed so many people off because you could originally get the war chest with all 3 factions and all of the skins for $30.
But they were like
So
limited
why are
time.
you re-releasing every skin individually for $10 each? That's at that point, that is just greed.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if you're gonna keep doing that, then yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot every time.
And then on top of that, like the pros weren't even using them after a while.
No, the pros weren't allowed to
get
use
into
them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I know.
Well, yeah.
I know
think
why.
that's a different
For a while.
thing, but
Yeah, we don't need to dig too much into that. That's a whole other can of worms.
Part of me wonders if that was like a Casper decision, not Casper, but like the decision made in Korea and a couple other locations, or if it was just, but we don't know the background behind it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think let's move on to the PTR.
What PTR?
Yeah, the PTR. So, well, you know, not the live patch now. Yeah, that's what I'm still calling it.
Patch,
I'm still calling it the PTR because it's like in my mind, it's like this is not live StarCraft.
It's a test.
This is an experiment.
Yeah. This feels like an experiment.
That's so funny, but I totally get what you mean by that.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I really wanted to ask was, because we've already talked about the PTR itself to death. So what I wanted to ask was, what do you guys think we learned from this attempt? Because I've definitely got some lessons I think that we've learned. You know, lessons that I already knew and was kind of screaming at the community like, please no.
Oh, do you and me both?
Yeah. Do you think we learned anything from this as a community, or do you think Blizzard maybe learned anything from this?
I sadly don't think so.
Community or Blizzard or both?
Both. Well, one, I don't think
shit.
Blizzard's paying enough attention to care.
Yeah.
So there's that. But 2, I don't think, because I guess the real question is, did those kind of helping decide? And because like I know there's a name that I've heard being thrown around related to this, like I don't know if it's just one person, if it's a group of people, but like, did they get what they wanted out of it? Because if they did, then I would say absolutely didn't learn anything. Because like, no, it works. I want these things. These things happen. Look at that. Now the game's better, in my opinion. So like, if that is the case, then I would say definitely no.
But the problem with that statement is the game is demonstrably worse off as a direct result. I'm not necessarily saying worse, but worse off.
But
Because we are actually.
Do they agree with that?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter whether they agree about it, because statistically speaking, that is the case. We are at the lowest ever player count that StarCraft has ever been, and it has dropped so drastically in the last 2 months that we went from something, I think we lost something like 40,000 players.
Jesus.
Well,
over the last like.
But Miro.
Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Where'd you get the numbers? Because I've seen different sources for these, and I want to talk about this.
I've seen the active player count went from daily players went from 23 down to 14 on the active player count, which is already like 40%.
So where are you getting that from, though?
Activeplayer.io for StarCraft.
Wait, what?
He's looking at Miro. What I wanted to say was, weren't we just before the show saying how people can't tell what's real and not real, and just believing things just because? So I mean, like, yeah, we may be able to look at numbers and say, yeah, this is wrong, but
yeah,
like,
so
they understand that and agree.
So there have been in July we went from something like 210 on the low end down to 150,000 on the low end in August.
I'm not sure I believe this website. This is
using Blizzard's API, so.
Well, Okay, are you talking about activeplayer.io?
Yeah, the thing that I just linked to you.
I'm not sure where you're getting that they're using Blizzard API. I'm seeing data sources, estimated player figures, active player estimate, search interest, Google Trends, and streaming data from Twitch. Estimated figures are not official player counts. That seems like they're just estimating it based off of search trends and Twitch.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
my understanding was that
but,
this was drawing from Blizzard's like
okay,
API stuff originally.
But no problem bringing that up though, because like really what I wanted to talk about this was like this number is actually hard to get, but from what we've seen, it looks like it's bad. Because I've seen SC2 Pulse numbers for it, which I can't remember. If you can try to pull that up, Miro, that'd be great, from SC2 Pulse.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
That. And then the other one that I wanted to show was this chart. And this is from No Nappa. And you have to go to race stats and then change the chart mode to total, because it's a percentage by default. So it kind of looks not too bad because you're looking at like the percentage of Zerg and Terran and Protoss players. Right? So you don't see player count. But if you switch it to total, you can see the player count. But this is a little bit hard to read because these are seasons. So ladder seasons are not the same length of time. So these are evenly spaced on the chart. Like they're like even length of time between each other, but they're not. Some of these might be 2 weeks, and some of these might be 3 months. And the way this number is calculated, like this number for season 39 right here, this is at the end of the season. What was the number? So if we look at it for this value, and I only know this because I've been checking this ever since the PTR, and this number updates and it gets bigger over time. So this is like accumulating over the entire season. However, 67 was our previous season, and that was basically the PTR. That was the one that just ended. Although we did have, what, like 2 months? 1 or 2 months before the PTR? So this was kind of halfway PTR, halfway the previous patch. And then this is the numbers for the current patch, but it will be updated throughout the whole season, and we'll know what the total is at the end of the season. So my point here is that looking at player count is actually a little bit difficult right now, but from what we've seen so far, and from what I think most people have experienced with queue times, it seems like the player count is worse.
Yeah, I know Lambo has talked about how it's basically become impossible to find anyone on ladder above 5k with any regularity. And that even for Masters players around that 5k, like it's very difficult for them to get games.
That's rough.
Interesting. So SC2 Pulse has something where you can show ranked ladder activity for the month, and you can put in any month you want. And it looks like this is working. So I'm seeing like a high of 2,000 games and a low of like 800, 1,000 games. Some of them are really low, but it's hard to say because it's like the time zone. I don't know if you're looking at the stream, but you can see there's spikes. So if I were to go to like, let's go 2 months ago. What does it look like? This is roughly 2,000, 1,000, roughly. Honestly, it seems not that much different from 2 months ago.
I know I've seen numbers that
this spike makes it hard to interpret.
It's very difficult to tell. Like from November was patch 5.0.15, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we've lost about 10,000 apparently, according to this, is games played per day. but it's really hard to say, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you can see, like, from this, I mean, this is going from, like, 2021 down. Like, we're just already on this downward trend here. Which, it's funny, me saying this because I actually... like, I was kind of talking crap about this argument of, like, people are going to try to say that the game was already dying, so it doesn't matter that we killed it with the patch. And now I'm saying exactly that. But no, that's not actually what I'm trying to say here. Like, we were definitely on a downward trend, as, like, almost any game always is after it releases, and this is, like, 10 years after the most recent expansion. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of expected for it to be on a downward trend, right? The question really is, did the patch make it worse, and how much did it make it worse? Because it seems like it made it worse. It seems hard to debate that fact, you know?
Yeah, it definitely does seem odd. It's definitely hard to debate whether the game is better or worse, because, like, from a numbers standpoint, everything I've seen, and granted, I'm not entirely sure how these are showing, but it does seem like we're significantly worse off. Like, the games played per day, looking at, if I forgot to include the current season list, which season 68. So we went from season 67 having 48,000 games played per day roughly, to now season 68 has 41,000 games played per day, you know. And global player count was like 100,000, 105,000 according to Nefest, down to like 55,000 at season 68. We have absolutely lost a lot of players, and that's really, really sad.
So kind of trying to return back to the question here, like, so what do we think we learned from this shit? Because I think the lesson that I think is number one on my mind right now is that you know, as much as people might have complained about the state of the game in the previous patch, like, at the end of the day, we would not be arguing so fucking hard about this if we didn't love what the core of what StarCraft is. And in my opinion, this patch is a great illustration of why you need to be careful fucking with the core of your game when there's so many people that clearly love it. Like, we can argue to, like, until the cows come home about, you know, what fucking cost the queen should be or whatever, right? But when you start changing, like, expansion costs and, like, how much supply they provide and the starting worker count and things like that, like, you are so fundamentally fucking with the foundation of StarCraft that you are seriously risking pissing everybody off. And I think that is what we're clearly seeing right now. And it drives me fucking crazy that we went through all this shit when there were a lot of people like me saying, hey, you should probably be careful. Like, this is a pretty serious thing you're thinking about doing. Like, I'm a little bit irritated right now. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
Changes.
What was that?
I think you like the changes.
Yeah. You know me, I'm the biggest supporter of the patch.
I knew it.
Oh, man.
They said it here.
Yeah, you heard it first. No. No, I mean, like, you know, I'm ranting here, but, like, you know, I really think that, like, there is a serious lesson to be learned here. Like, I mean, fucking other game developers pay attention. You know, not even just StarCraft devs. Like, if you have a game that people are, like, passionately debating about, and they're like, you know, oh, we need to make fundamental changes to this, that, and the other thing, like, pump the brakes, man. Because, you know, people are playing the game for a reason. And, you know, a lot of times the fans of the game don't quite understand everything about how the core of it is, like, stitched together. Like, they don't really understand everything about how the sausage is made and what makes it work so well. you know, because they're not game developers, you know, like it's a serious profession that takes like a lot of experience to get good at. So I think that we need to have a lot of respect for, you know, the people like Dustin Browder and David Kim who put a lot of work into refining the core of this game and getting it to be something cool and interesting. Because, like, you know, people might have bitched about, you know, the Widowmine or Swarm hosts or oracles or whatever you want to bitch about, right? But, like, you know, chances are high that, you know, there's like 20% that are complaining about this unit and 20% are complaining about this unit, and then there's 5% that are complaining about that other unit or whatever. It's like, you having an issue with one or two things in the game, like, if you like the other 90%, maybe you should just suck it up. Like, I'm sorry, but you know, if it's a, you know, nothing can be fucking perfect, right? And being irritated and frustrated and having pain points in a game is like part of game design, right? So like expecting the game to just iteratively improve over time and be more and more enjoyable over time, like, I think is a little unrealistic. And people need to understand that, like, if you have a core game that's working really well, there might be some issues that are impossible to fix because of the way you set up the core, and you're just gonna have to fucking deal with it, you know? Like, I don't know. That's my perspective. Am I crazy?
I think here's the thing, right?
Oh, yeah, you go.
You go.
Okay. I think it comes back to what I brought up of, like, we can all sit there and say it sucks and talk about the reasons why it was a bad idea. But if the people who made the decisions don't agree or acknowledge it, then at the end of the day, no, they didn't learn that what they did was a bad idea. Because, like, we could obviously make a list of things, but, like, if they can't say, like, oh yes, we agree, or oh yeah, that didn't turn out how we wanted it to,
right?
Well, then apparently no, they didn't learn whatever lesson it is that we think they should have learned.
That's very true, and I think Blizzard
because
is
again,
very
if we just
from the
have
community. Sorry, go ahead.
If we just have a bunch of players and other randos who, like you put, aren't actually game developers or don't actually have more experience or aren't taking those perspectives into consideration, then no, they're probably just gonna be like, it did what I wanted it to do, so I think it's fine, cool, we're gonna keep it this way. So
yeah, and then they hear negative feedback from the community and they're just kind of like, that's the way I wanted it to do.
Players.
yeah,
or some
players
are
always gonna whine, you know. Yeah
literally freaking Terrans. What?
You know it's true, Miro.
No, sorry, I actually didn't even hear what you said because I just got a message asking about something.
He was throwing shade at
look.
Terrence for always whining.
Well, look, I don't think we can really say that anymore in the last year and a half, given
I don't know,
Protoss.
man. I don't know, man.
No.
I don't know if you've seen Reddit.
There definitely has been some truth to that. I'm not going to deny that.
I don't know if you've seen Reddit recently, but there's been quite a few Terrans who, despite no Zergs saying that, you know, this patch is good and we should keep this shit, like, there's a lot of them on here who are like, oh, 300cc is totally fine because look at all these Zergs winning, like, the patch is good. And it's like, what? like they're trying to talk shit about these Zerg players being like, you know,
it's like, what the
oh,
fuck?
you thought it would be broken, but it's not really. But it's like, you know, nobody's defending this patch. Like, who are you arguing against?
I haven't understood that either, because it's like the whole 300 mineral CC is clearly balanced and fine, and you know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't think it is, but realistically, the entire patch is a fucking dumpster fire, and it needs to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
it's
the
like
reality.
Two wrongs don't make a right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like, you can't be like, the larva buff is bullshit, therefore the 300cc is okay. Like, what the fuck? Like, no, they're both stupid.
They're both stupid, and they both need to go.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like the previous patch, the live game, quote unquote, considering you're talking about the PTR, 5.15, Zerg did need some help. That's the reality.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of people who don't think that's the case, but the reality is they definitely did need something.
Yeah, like the stats and the results showed that.
I don't know what that something is. Like I can think of a couple things off the top of my head that I would have changed. Revert the queen back to 150, make it so you can cancel creep tumors, you know, little things like that emphasize and allow skill expression without also then going ham on just like directly completely buffing Zerg like the lava buff did, which I think at this point is kind of unequivocal.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually a more sizable buff than I think anyone really expected it to be.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about why we think that might have been, but briefly, I think there's some interactions with Inject that it made easier for lower level players to not miss out on larva, essentially, because it was previously getting burned by the Inject mechanic.
Yeah, but, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. So, all right. All right. I think I gotta move on to talking a bunch of shit about the current CEO.
Ooh, sweet.
Hang on, so I have to look this person up again. Johanna Ferries, which I'm not sure if there is way to pronounce her last name. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sure this person is fine, like, as a person. You know what I mean? I have no problem with her as a person. However, I have a supreme lack of confidence with this person as the CEO of Blizzard, given their background. And I could be wrong. You know, maybe this person is just a fucking diehard gamer. You know, like, whenever they're done with work, they're just immediately booting up their PC and they get in and they log like fucking 4 hours of World of Warcraft or whatever. Maybe they're actually like legit Blizzard game fan, and, you know, I'm totally coming out of left field with this, and I'm completely wrong, but I don't think so. Because literally all I did was just look up her fucking LinkedIn, and I'm like, all right, so where did this person work before? What's their work experience? Do they have any like relevant experience for this? And
no.
Spoilers, no. No. So let me just real quick go through. They went to Harvard, and sure, you know, whatever. Harvard's a good school, right? But it's also like not really where I would expect, like, you know, a gaming person to come from. It's not really a gaming background, kind of. You know, I mean, I don't know.
That's fair.
Could still happen, right? And you know, technically they are in like an administrative kind of role, right? But, you know, okay, sure. So that's the first kind of thing. It's not really a red flag, but it's kind of like a raised eyebrow, right? Then we move on. What's their first job? They worked at the NFL. What? They worked as the
technically a game, yes.
Sure, but not in the gaming part of NFL.
No.
They worked as coordinator of innovation and business development. Yeah. All right. This is in 2007, 2008. Then they moved on to be manager of sponsorship sales. All right.
Bring this all up on stream, by the way.
I kind of don't want to, because it's a little like doxing-y. I mean, like, I am just reading it out, but like, yeah, you know, it's not hard to find if somebody wants to look this up.
So your point basically is that she does not have gaming business experience, just
no
some general business.
Here, I'm just gonna go through. There's not that much. I'll go faster. So after that, director, consumer products and licensing, still at the NFL. After that, vice president of marketing strategy and fan development. which the fan development part of that just it makes me go like, ew. Because fan development, to me, sounds like, how can we develop the wallets of our fans into tunnels that shovel their money into our pocket? Like, that's what I hear. After that, they were vice president of club business development, which I'm guessing club business refers to like the teams. So like the the team aspect of that, because they have to like buy into the league and all that stuff. Anyway, after that, they moved on to Activision Blizzard. All right. And where did they start? Commissioner of Call of Duty Esports. Things are looking strong here. You know, this is exactly the kind of background that I would look for somebody to manage Blizzard, you know, the classic golden age gaming company.
Yeah,
After
someone
that,
former Activision going into managing Blizzard, definitely a great look.
Definitely a great look. Yeah. After that, they were senior vice president, head of leagues, which I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what that means. After that,
I wonder if again, it might be related to like teams and stuff, because you know they had the Overwatch teams and things for a little while.
That's true. That might have actually been, and it would have been 2021, which maybe that was when Overwatch 2 came out. Because yeah, I was actually gonna excuse me, I was actually gonna talk about this later, but like they did this thing with the Overwatch League for Overwatch 2, where Blizzard sold licenses, expensive ones, to companies to teams, so they could buy into the league, so that they could compete in the league, right? And then that gives them access to the prize pools and all that stuff, right? And that collapsed because all of the teams like voted to end the league and just pay themselves out.
No way. That actually happened?
That actually happened.
Oh, yeah. So funny.
Yeah, I remember
so they bought in for like
stuff.
millions of dollars. They bought, and there were only like 10 or 12 slots or something like that, so only like a certain number of teams could be in the league. So they sold like 10 or 12 slots for this league or whatever, and then they ran it for like a year or two, and then the teams were all like, yeah, this isn't working. Give us our $6 million payout and we're out. And they canceled it.
That's so funny.
Anyway, after that, her next job was I think this is game manager or game master or general manager of Call of Duty. Yeah, wonderful. And then from there, president, Blizzard Entertainment. Yep. I have zero confidence in this person's abilities. Like, absolutely none. Like, woo. I mean, I was saying it earlier with you, I think, Miro, yesterday, or it might have been Brock, I forget, when I was like, this legit makes me want to be like, Johanna Fairies, fight me in Starcraft. 1v1 me, bro.
It was me. It was me.
Yeah, that was
we
Miro,
were
but
talking
that's
with me and
It's
Epsilon.
fuck, man. Yeah. It's like, you have no fucking idea what you're in charge of. Like, you know nothing. Like, I'm sorry. Like, prove me the fuck wrong. You know,
but that's
like,
just
get in
right?
StarCraft, fight me in StarCraft. Let's go.
I need to bring this up because like this, everything we've talked about so far with regards to like the game devs and like game changes and talking about how, you know, the game has like removing core functions or altering core functions of the game, all that makes me think is like how much of this has been something that a higher up has seen, someone who isn't a game dev and has just gone,
no, this seems fine.
Tiny loud minority of people want this, let's make sweeping changes to the game. Or this is what I think we should do, says higher up who has no fucking clue what is going on. I want you to make changes to the game. And then the game devs are just sitting there like, but that would ruin everything. And we've seen this play out across multiple companies, across multiple people. Like Bungie did it.
Actually,
fucking Bethesda did it. Like
I have a
so
video
many
for
other
this.
companies have done it. And it's like,
So
why would you get
not
rid
sure.
of the core
Sorry,
thing?
finish your point.
Why would you get rid of the core part of your game that made people interested in your game in the first place? Like, just why?
For shits and giggles.
Yeah, just like a clear lack of understanding of like what makes these games good in the first place. Yeah. Okay, really quick, I hope this is the right one, but what you just said and something we were talking about earlier was totally making me think of this skit from VLDL, who used to make StarCraft 2 parody songs, if anybody recognizes them. They don't like StarCraft 2 anymore, unfortunately. The 12 workers start killed it for them, ironically.
Wait, well then do they like it again?
No, they don't like it again. No. I think they tried it again. It wasn't with the 6 worker thing, but it was like from something else. I forget. Anyway, so I want to show this really quick because it's super funny and ties into what you were just talking about. If this is the right video that I'm thinking of, maybe it's not. It's 3 minutes long, so we're just gonna watch it.
Yes, and then we get the NPCs in the game to sing it.
Sup.
Hello. They could sing it. In
My
the quiz.
boy. What are we doing?
You called this meeting?
Great. Just remind me what,
You asked Abby to do qualitative research into the community, which is what she's done. It looks like she's done a very good job.
I did do that. Abby.
You wanted me to make a presentation? you were like,
Okay, the
we need to
names
know how
are
to get
really
them to
funny.
spend more money, Annie. And I was like, my name's Abby, but it's okay because it's only been a week. I worked all night on it.
Okay, cool. Let's get this thing started. Just do the bullet points. I gotta get out of here in 5 minutes.
Just summarize it. Just summarize it.
Okay, I'll just...
It tosses the card.
Is an integral part of the Skycraft experience. I did a deep dive into our community spaces to find out what they like and what they don't like about the game. 49% of the community love it.
Yes.
51% hate it.
Oh.
20% of the player base feel good about the prospect of a new expansion.
Of course.
Oh, cha-ching.
22% want us to stop messing with a good thing.
That's logical.
41% are happy with our efforts to add 2 whole new dynamic female characters to the game.
Who knew there was a whole other demographic to sell to?
Who knew? I
They
didn't
were
know.
very well written. They were very well written.
I didn't know.
I don't know.
But 9%, and I'm reading in verbatim here, say, stop being such woke lefty cucks. 31% want a battle royale.
Oh
Let's
my
do
gosh.
it.
That's interesting.
You can have a battle royale once I'm dead. If that's the preference, I could die, and then you could have a battle royale.
Noted.
6%.
Just really quick for context, this guy that was just talking and saying like you can have a battle royale when I'm dead, in the skit he's supposed to be the original creator of the game, and the other guys are like corporate douchebags, and she's like a new person. Yeah.
Want guns added generally,
Get those guns in there, Dalvin.
and 11% said they don't want guns.
Get those guns out of there, Dalvin. No guns.
I was never gonna add guns.
What is it with you and guns?
I don't want
Just
guns
drop
in
it. They don't want
Skycraft.
it. Sorry,
There's no
continue.
guns in Azeroth.
Continue.
46% want us to make a vanilla version of the game. 52% want it to be more political. 48% say take all the politics out of it, including the Skycraft legal system. 44.5% want anarchy. 55.5% want tyranny. 17% say they don't want any of those, and this 23.7% don't even play the game. There's no consensus. No one can see eye to eye. This just makes no sense, and this community is
This percent doesn't even play the game. That's so good. Oh my gosh.
It's fucking so on point.
So what's the plan?
Oh my gosh.
So what's the play?
I don't know.
I love it. Action it. Action all of it.
Action it. All action, all of it.
Very good. Up top. Up top, Clint. Up top. Up top.
We doing this? I'll come to you.
Up top. Hey. Go. Up top. Yep. Good work.
So do you think this is what the balance committee looks like, where they've got that one player who's paying attention, and they've got a bunch of other people who are just
sorry,
kind of like...
I think I might have introduced this video wrong. That was actually like hidden camera footage of Blizzard offices.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so as you might have guessed, by the game being called
so...
Skycraft and by the company being called Arctic Storm and the font, they're talking about somebody. Who could it be?
It's like,
I don't know.
This was released a year ago, by the way.
Here's the thing, right? The reality is, like, the player base doesn't know what it wants. There is definitely an element of...
they want.
There will always be an element of complaints and balance complaints and design issues and things like that, because nothing is perfect and you can't cater to everyone. That is the reality.
So,
but
yeah, sorry, finish your point.
I think we can all agree that what they have done right now is not the way to go.
Yeah.
Taking
sorry, go ahead.
Parts of the game that the player base loves and that is like core identities of the game, of the race. And I'm looking at a lot of like the Protoss Gateway changes. As much as I like the concept behind trying to make there be a choice between Warp Gate and gateways, like realistically speaking, Warp Gate is a fundamental part of Protoss's identity. And if you're going to fuck around with that in StarCraft 2, if you're going to fuck around with that, you are going to alienate a huge chunk of your player base.
Yeah,
that is the reality.
Yeah. So what I really wanted to emphasize the most from this, because like this is a fucking hilarious video, and I love many things about it, especially the one guy when he opens up this little thing and a little baggie of Coke falls out. That was fucking funny.
Oh, I didn't even realize that's what that was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing that I wanted to emphasize most about this was this guy right here, who, like I said earlier, in the context of this skit, he's supposed to be the original creator of the game. So that's why when they say, like, let's add a battle royale mode to the game because players are asking for it, he's like, you can have one over my dead body when I'm dead. Like, this is kind of what I was trying to say earlier, like ties into what I was saying earlier about like them just not fucking understanding what makes these things good in the first place, because the people who did and set it all up are gone, or like this guy have just been so fucking emasculated by all of these corporate douchebags like this guy. Just fucking or every just meeting shutting them the fuck down, you know? Like, this is the dynamic that they have to deal with, right? And then you end up in a situation where these people have all the power, and the people who actually understand what makes these games good are constantly shut the fuck down, and they're never allowed to speak, and they don't have any fucking influence. They have no power. So, like, this is really the main problem that I'm seeing here, you know? And this is kind of one of the reasons why it's like, as much as I want to be hyped for anything, you know, StarCraft in the future, it's like, unless Blizzard can somehow realize this mistake, I don't think it's ever going to actually turn out the way we want it to, you know?
Okay, so counterpoint. This is a problem. I say counterpoint, but this is less a counterpoint and more something that runs alongside what you're saying. This is a problem with the games industry as a whole.
Oh, for sure.
Everything is catering to money go up, number go up. It's like, okay, what they want to see is like, they don't care about the player base, they don't care about the game, they don't care about any of that. What they want is they want their investors to go, ooh, let's give you more money.
They want stock price go up.
They want stock price go up.
They get their bonus in stock.
All they care
about. Want their stock to be worth more money. Yes.
Like, the problem with that mentality is that's very short-term thinking. If you want your games to be successful, if you want your games to be good, then A, you have to support your games and B, you have to understand what the fuck made your games good in the first place. And then C, stop chasing number go up. Because the reality is that you can't please everyone.
Yeah. Much like what I was saying with, when we try to make, a game have the perfect design and remove all the pain points, it's like, at a certain point, you just have to be like, this is as good as it's going to get, and we're just going to have to deal with the flaws that it has. Same thing with game developers, these companies. You can't just fucking expect every game to be this giant big tent game that gets 1 million fucking sales. Like, you just can't. You gotta deal with the fact that sometimes you're gonna make a more niche game that isn't gonna sell as many copies. But the fact that you're willing to do that and support that game and do it right, like, that is gonna give you a lot of value in trust in your brand in the long term. And then when you try to release something new that's maybe a little bit innovative and different, people are gonna be willing to try it out because they'll have had previous experience playing games that your company released, and they're gonna have trust in your brand. Like,
I want to
bugs me
Arrowhead
that they
here
somehow
very
don't
quickly.
understand this, because it's like a basic aspect of how capitalism is supposed to work. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to quote Arrowhead here very quickly. Okay.
Sure.
And for all their faults as a game dev company with how they've handled Helldivers in the years since its release, it's still a pretty solid game. But the one thing that they have stuck to, and the one thing that they have said, and have continued to stand by, is that a game for everyone is a game for no one.
Yes.
That is the quote. A game for everyone is
That's
a game
such a
for
good
no
way
one.
to say it. Yes.
That is, yeah.
And that means,
That's just the reality. Is like you cannot make a game for everyone because functionally it doesn't work, and there will always be someone who doesn't like it.
Now I have a relevant
what
quote
is-
here, courtesy of your wife from yesterday when we were talking about this.
Okay.
Which
I'll let her know you're quoting her.
Yeah. Well, I'm not quoting her, but it's a quote that she linked to me.
Yes.
Yeah, so I did not actually listen through this all the way, so I'm just gonna briefly play it, but I remember roughly what they're talking about here.
evolving what Warcraft means, what it is, and where it's going. We want it to be approachable, and that's also part of it. Even with Chris Metzen, we talk about, sometimes he's like, man, I wish we hadn't called it Warcraft. It sounds kind of intimidating. I'm like, nobody really thinks that about Warhammer. It's just, it's an understood name, essentially. So this idea of third space in our online worlds, we couldn't even define what that means exactly, but we're working on figuring that out. We want people to come in and hang out and have birthdays, have weddings, have raids, grand adventures, play with their friends, meet new friends, like all the things that traditionally for over 20 years, World of Warcraft has been good at. And at the same time, we want to take advantage of 20 years of stories that have been told and not told and start bringing it out to the world in a broader way. Like, that's my...
Okay, that is pretty good, but there's actually a better quote, which I'm really hoping I can find. Sorry, I'm going to put my music back on for a second. So I'm really hoping I can find this. There was a
I will forever hate that quote.
GDC where they were talking about Warcraft as a... Oh god, they were talking... Oh man, I have this note like somewhere in my like game development notes somewhere. But it was a GDC, this might be it. But they were talking about they had this acronym that they used to describe the big tent philosophy, essentially, of how they want to bring everybody into their into their universe. It's like something along the lines of like, we want God, I can't remember how they fucking worded this. It was like we want people to have experience. I can't remember this quote. GDC. I have this somewhere, not in this notes, but I found it like years ago. I forgot about it before this show, or I would have already had it prepared. Damn. Okay, maybe I can't find it. I'll try to find it, and maybe I'll put it in the description of the video or something like that. Because it was basically this quote. I think it might actually be in this video, where they maybe if I skim through, I can find it a little bit. Because they did like an acronym on the screen at one point where they're talking about this, and I thought the way that they worded it was really interesting, and it kind of showed. It made me understand like the vibe of Warcraft and also of Hearthstone, which uses a similar philosophy. Here it is. Oh my god, I found it. Build a fantasy universe that delights and connects everyone everywhere. That's it. Look at this. I don't know if you're seeing it on the screen, but our mission, build a fantasy universe that delights and connects everyone everywhere. That's crazy. Like that, a game for everyone. Like, that's nuts. So, and they have, each of these are expanded on with little sub points. So fantasy universe, they want magical worlds, great stories, inspiring characters. That delights. They want it to be entertaining, whimsical, dangerous, but not too dark. You see the problems here? Connects, shared experience, sense of belonging, cooperative and competitive. Everyone.
Case, they just want everything all at once.
Everything,
why
all
would
the
you need
time.
genres
Why can't they
if
just
you
have
can just
all the
include
dollars?
everything?
I don't understand. There's so many dollars. Why can they not all be Blizzard's dollars? I don't get it.
That's such a great way of saying it.
The irony of this statement is that as an MMO, they have actually kind of done this in a way that, you know,
with Warcraft, I think they achieved this.
With Warcraft, they have effectively, reasonably well achieved. It's like the game has a whimsical feeling to it. It can be dangerous. It is.
I gotta stop you for a second here.
Always, and vanilla especially had that very much the sense of a shared experience that you always
right
were working with each other.
So the thing that I want to make a distinction here, though. So I think that this philosophy is not a bad philosophy if the game that you're trying to make is Warcraft, right? If you're trying to make a big tent game, this is not a bad approach, you know? Like, the first time I read this, I was honestly like, I was a little bit starstruck. I was like, this is pretty fucking smart, but also this is not what I want to do for my game, because this is how I found this video, was I was looking at, you know, game development stuff for my own game. And, you know, I came across this and I was like, this is a really cool philosophy if this is the universe that you're trying to create. And I think for, you know, a fantasy universe specifically, because this is what it says right here, you know, I think this makes perfect sense if this is what you're trying to do, like an inclusive fantasy universe that can sell to all ages, essentially. And globally, you know, this is the way to make fantasy stuff that is going to sell. That makes sense, right? But the problem is, once your company starts putting an insane amount of value in this philosophy, then it can very easily bleed over into places where it shouldn't, like Starcraft, because I can see many things here that do not align with Starcraft. And I can also see how they bled into StarCraft 2, with the atmosphere and the vibe being a little bit different than it was in StarCraft 1. And it makes a lot of sense when I read this philosophy, and I think about the history of Warcraft and how StarCraft 2 essentially was Blizzard, like, kind of flexing with how much money they made off of World of Warcraft. Because at the time, they were like the big dog. They had so much fucking money. And that, I mean, a large portion of that went to StarCraft 2's development, you know, because it was like the first game they made after that, and they just dumped a shit ton of money on it, and it shows, you know. So I don't know. There's a lot there to unpack, but I think that
also,
it's important to understand this context of how Blizzard thinks about things. Anyway,
I agree, but it's also a quote that I think is like, if that's such a generalist statement as well, like realistically, the only thing in there that comes across as anything even remotely specific is fantasy universe. Everything else is super general and can be defined and directed in any way, shape, or form. So what they have, what they have there, like you can change. They've specified it in the highlighted words, but realistically, you can change all of that now. Literally everything except fantasy, you can change it in some way, shape, or form. Like, I feel like it's such a general statement that it could apply to everything while also applying to nothing.
Yeah. 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 All right. Next question, or do we have anything more on this? Next question.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
We're running out of time again, by the way.
Yeah. I'm trying to speed things along because we are running a little bit long here, but this is we're kind of cooking here. So, okay. So there's something else that I wanted to talk about because this is something we talked about a little bit briefly already. So I wanted to just add a little bit more detail and then we can kind of move on. So I kind of wanted to talk about the idea of like IP mining, of like taking their intellectual property and just trying to fucking mine it for any additional value you can possibly extract from it without having to really spend a lot of money and develop anything new for it. And this is something that Blizzard started doing like pretty publicly in 2017 or around that period, like 2016, 2017. And this is because at the time they were fattening themselves up for the merger with Microsoft. And this is very common business practice. When you're getting ready for a merger, you want to cut any expenditures that you can and make all your bottom line revenue look really good so that you can try to make yourself look as attractive as possible for the merger, so that you can get the best price on your shares as possible, get the most money, right? So when Blizzard was doing this, they acquired King Digital, the mobile game company, as we were talking about earlier. They were talking about licensing over to that and dealing with that. And hang on. So one of the quotes here was, yeah, when Activision bought the mobile game giant King Digital last year, big hope was to, sorry, last year is referring to 2016 in this context. Its big hope was to find a better way to monetize its massive base of active users, right? And there's a bunch of other quotes that I can find here, and there's quotes from like Mike Morhaime and things like that. I think there might even be one in this. Oh no, not this one. It's a different article. But yeah, at the time they were like very publicly saying in a lot of interviews that they were trying to like further monetize existing IPs, essentially. Like find ways to get money out of things that already exist, right? So I just wanted to bring this up because it just kind of fits into the like the timeline of understanding like what's happening to Blizzard and like what's going on there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is also because now and moving on here, they're owned by Microsoft now because the merger was like finally approved. And they finally were able to merge with Microsoft. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting because Microsoft is kind of struggling in their gaming right now. And they also, like the Xbox is really struggling right now. And them buying Activision Blizzard was supposed to be a way for them to increase Game Pass sales. Because now they could offer Blizzard games on the Game Pass. And that would help them get more sales. But long story short, and because I don't understand all of the details of this, it's not really my wheelhouse. They did other changes to Game Pass, and it ended up backfiring, and the sales went down. So they're kind of just fucked. Like, it's not really looking good right now. But there is a glimmer of hope in that just the history of Microsoft. The history of Microsoft with gaming is actually pretty good if you look at it, you know, from like the long-term track record comparing to other large companies. Like, if you compare to most other publishers, I would say Microsoft, not the worst. You know, they've definitely had a pretty good track record of being not evil all the time. You know?
Activision.
Yeah. Like the Mech Commander series and Halo and a couple others that are escaping my memory for some reason right now. But they've been able to maintain other IPs and make good games for them over multiple decades and keep them alive. And like spend lots of money doing it. So there's hope because Microsoft has proven in the past that they can right the ship on this kind of thing before.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because
Yeah.
I don't know how much the new Xbox CEO has in terms of a stake in all this, and because I know recently there were a huge round of layoffs at Xbox and a bunch of other like game companies and stuff, and I don't know if Blizzard was affected by that, but I recall seeing there was like a bunch of complaints about it, and it's like, oh, you know, Microsoft has acquired all these companies and then just sold off and laid off a whole bunch of people, and it's like, okay, that sounds really bad until you look at the people that were actually laid off was a bunch of middle management.
Right.
And I think the quote was something like, at one point there was up to 15 layers worth of middle management for a bunch of these companies.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if this is the case for Blizzard, so take this with a huge grain of salt. And I don't know if this even applied to Blizzard, but I know that
my understanding is it
Starcraft was
didn't,
on Game
by the way.
Pass, and there was a whole bunch of stuff on Game Pass. So I wonder if, my understanding is it didn't either. But the reason I bring this up is because, you know, if one of the things that you have to do if you want to make good games, get rid of half the fucking middle management. Just do it. Like, you don't need.
Business thrives on middle management. What are you talking about?
Like, because at that point it's just more people sticking their fingers in the pies where they don't belong.
You don't need this guy. You don't need this guy. The guy sitting on the couch with his fucking White Claw or whatever. Like, you don't need this guy. You also don't need this guy who's sitting here looking at his Coke. You don't need this guy.
They are the masterminds behind everything. How dare you suggest such things?
I'm trying to find the part where his baggie falls out.
Obviously, like, take everything with a grain of salt. You know, I want to have hope for BlizzCon and Starcraft. I really, really do. But historical precedent for Blizzard has not been good the last 10 years. You know, all right, let's go even further. The last 15 years, basically, since Activision merged with Blizzard. The moment Activision merged with Blizzard, they started what I will affectionately call an insidious takeover and ruined Blizzard from the inside out. And it kind of, to me, culminated in 2018 where the original Blizzard CEO
Mike Morhaime
left.
Yeah.
Mike Morhaime left,
and then took over. Yeah.
His their goodbye for him on BlizzCon was absolutely badly botched, and I can't help but feel that was deliberate, because it's like one last fuck you know, from Activision for getting in our way, and that's my little conspiracy theory, but it really does
Not
feel
even
like
that much of a conspiracy theory.
the moment Blizzard died, it really did feel like that was the moment Blizzard died.
Yeah, I mean, it really
goes.
can't be understated how much Mike Morhaime was really responsible for making Blizzard what it was. Like, earlier when I was saying that there was even a quote from Mike Morhaime about, like, fattening themselves up for the merger, like, the funny thing about that quote was it was basically like an earnings call, and is some like Goldman Sachs or somebody was like, hey, what are you doing to get us more money in X or Y area or whatever? And Mike Morhaime, he basically came in, and the answer that he gave was so fucking funny to me, because it was like so clear that he did not see things that way, and he was not like under the like corporate money grubbing like philosophy. Like, he was just talking about like making things better, and when things are better, they're gonna sell more copies. Like,
Yeah,
crazy idea.
I don't really want to go into this, but this is kind of something that we've noticed more and more, and it's not just the gaming industry, it's everything, right? You know, you can look at Netflix and HBO and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, if you don't have a good fucking product, people won't go to you. So why do we keep shitifying our products? Let's look at Discord, okay? The whole reason.
Well, yeah,
the whole reason Discord
that's the
became
reason.
successful.
It's because the golden parachute. They just take their money and get out. Like, the reason they do it is because they don't give a shit about the long term. They're only going to be CEO for like 4 years. You know?
I know.
Like,
I know, but that's kind of my point. Like, Skype was one of the most used programs, and it became so enshittified that fucking Discord was created and did everything that Skype refused to do. And then Discord has now started doing the same thing and enshittifying their program.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, really what needs to happen is investors need to wise up, because they're the ones who actually have power. They can actually hold CEOs' feet to the fire.
Yeah, but you know the problem with that? Most investors
are stupid.
Most, not all, are either really stupid or really fucking old.
Yeah, and like don't understand gaming and like yeah. But I mean, this is like a thing with and I mean also it's like they're also short-term minded too, because like investors are only there for the gain as well. Like they also only give a shit about that quarter. You know, like once they sell the stock, they don't give a shit what the company does. They're just going to invest in something else. You know. But yeah, you know, I think you know, Gavin is giving us a lot of lessons here about private ownership and how that might be the way sometimes. Anyway, we're going super long here, and we have pretty much covered all of my other things that I really wanted to talk about here. The only other thing that I really wanted to bring up was Stormgate, because I think Stormgate is just another example of, you know, and everybody already knows this shit, but, you know, I just really wanted to emphasize, like, Stormgate, and, you know, you could even look at Zero Space a little bit. Piles of money don't magically create great games. You know, like, you kind of need like a very clear vision and a team of people who are like very passionate and motivated and want to make that vision a reality. And I mean, even that might not be enough. You know, you're going to need like a little bit of spark of luck and a little bit of lightning in a bottle sometimes, you know, like that's just kind of how it is. You know, that's how it is making anything that's really good, you know, like, there's not an exact science behind this stuff. There is a lot of science behind it, but it's not an exact science. It's a little bit of an art, you know?
Here's the thing. Stormgate had the name, it just didn't have the vision. They said their vision was, we want to create the next great esport. Great, that's not a vision. What is your fucking game? And they didn't have an answer for that. They didn't have an answer. They didn't have a game. They didn't have something they wanted to make that had a clear vision of the world, the universe they're trying to build, and everything inside it. They didn't have a product. They just said, we want the next big we want the next big esport. Cool. But that means nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's
again, like a game for everyone is a game for no one. And that's what that turned into.
And then the other thing that I would say is like, perfect example of why, you know, you got to understand what makes these games good in the first place. Because like the thing that I always said when Stormgate was coming out, I was like, okay, what's your universe look like? What's your story? What's your campaign gonna look like? Because that, you know, we might be all obsessed with the esports right now because we're diehard Starcraft fans or whatever, but I'm willing to bet you 90+% of hardcore StarCraft 2 fans started playing the campaign. That's what got them into it. Like, you gotta start there, you know? Like, the esports was a happy accident of StarCraft being a good game. You know? Like, the good game comes first. The esport is later. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can also argue the same thing like about League, and League doesn't have a game, it does, however, have a realm and lore and everything behind that you can read into and look at, and there is a world and everything with that revolves around, you know. So even if you have to go digging a little bit, like nothing, like Stormgate literally was an empty shell.
Yeah. It felt very soulless.
Just sad because it had a lot
yeah.
of potential. It really did.
It really did.
Yeah, I was hoping it'd be cool, but I heard too much crap about it and then never actually tried it.
Zero Space is so much closer because at least like the units are really fucking cool. Like the cool factor of Zero Space. Man, if it wasn't for the hero units and the mercenaries, I would probably be playing it, you know? But like even then, like I think like the campaign and the universe and stuff like that, I think like from what I've seen, it just wasn't quite exciting enough. And maybe that's like, you know, just kind of because if you think about like the formula of a Blizzard RTS, like it's a very clear, like they hit beats of like the intro cutscene fucking gets you hyped, right? And then you launch in and you get this intro campaign cutscene that gets you hyped to play the campaign. And then you play the campaign and it's like you're immediately drawn into the universe. And then you're fucking hooked. And you play like 4 or 5 missions and then you get another cutscene. And you're like, oh my god, this game is fucking fire. You know what I mean? Like, neither of those games did that. You know what I mean? Like, from my understanding, the cutscenes in Zero Space were more of like a Mass Effect vibe. So it's like they might have looked, you know, pretty and things like that, but it wasn't like exciting and brings you into it and stuff. Like, what's the first scene in Brood War? It's those dudes getting blown up by the fucking Protoss mothership or whatever, right? Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, like that shit gets you hyped. So I'm gonna find it right now. And then intro cinematic. Yeah, here we go. Then I gotta turn off the music. Yeah, and then yeah, here.
I can't see a thing, Jim. Well, hold on. I swear, it's always some damn. Wait, got it.
We are definitely running over time now. I wanna.
What are you talking about? We have so much time still.
I think yeah, after this I just want to talk about the people thing.
Briefly.
Very briefly. Man, yeah, I remember like seeing this for the first time. It just got my brain going about the universe, and I was just like, oh, what are these dudes doing? Like, who do they work for? What's their job? What are they trying to do?
We got Terra for sure. I don't know about the rest. We got a big old buttload of floating debris out here.
I don't know, I remember looking a lot worse as a kid. What are you talking about?
I will say, for all the things that we've said about, you know, a game for everyone is a game for no one. I know I've repeated that a lot now. There is something to be said for listening to your player base as well. Like, yes.
Oh yeah.
Your player base doesn't always know what it wants, but there is certain things, and I'm going to point to Warframe with this because Warframe has done an amazing job with their game and listening to their player base over specific things, and just like there is an element where it's like, yes, you know what they want, like they will tell you what they want, but it is up to you to make it happen within the realm of the game, you know?
Right.
So if you can make what they want happen in a way that is feasible, that doesn't corrupt or fuck up the complete core of your game or whatever else, as this patch has completely done, like it's fucked everything up, then it is not necessarily a bad idea to listen to your player base. And you know, things like, okay, we're hearing from the player base that the 4-hour-long Swarm Host games are really, really cancerous to watch, and they're a problem.
Right. Yeah, you should probably listen to feedback on occasion
You
for things
probably
like
listen
that.
to
Yeah.
feedback on occasion, you know?
Not on that one.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
Feedback is definitely important to, it's like you
feedback
got to
is-
be able to interpret it. And, to do that, you have to have people who understand what makes the game good, because you got to be able to
Yeah.
sort through that feedback and be able to understand, like, what can we actually, like, do something about, and what is something that is just, like, a core thing about the game that if that's a problem for you, then I'm sorry, but there's just nothing we can do about it. Because that's, on occasion, you're going to have to say that,
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, there have been a number of instances, and like, early harassment is a big thing that I think really just does people need to understand that, yes, it can be frustrating, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Not
Especially
always
when
a
it's so
bad thing.
streamlined like StarCraft 2 is. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
Once you figure it out, it's a very solved problem, Anyway, we've been talking for a really, really long time here. So I think it is time to end the show, and I want to thank you both for coming on and chatting with me about this horribly depressing stuff. But I want to also end on a bit of a positive note, which is that we have revived Peep Mode. It's back, guys. I have gotten in contact with Kelzors, who was previously working on the Peep Mode stuff, and he helped me figure out how to update the Peep Mode maps, and we're updating the Peep Mode maps. So right now, Lockdown and At Eternity's Edge should already be live on NA and EU. I apologize, I'll put them on KR later. Then we're not sure if the 4-player ones are going to have an issue, but I did upload Fear and Faith, and we're going to see if that works.
Fear and Faith has one small issue
Okay.
at the moment, and that is that you always spawn in the same locations.
Right, okay, yeah, I figured it was going to do that. Yeah, so it looks like only the top spawns are enabled because it's a 4-player map, and Peep Mode doesn't handle more than 2 spawns. Which might be fixable, might not. I'll have to take a look at it. But yeah. So things are alive, Peep Mode is alive. So if you've been missing Peep Mode, go check it out. I will do my best to put the rest of the maps up at some point today. So hopefully by tomorrow, which will be when most people are watching this video, it'll all be up, and the Peep Mode maps from the new season are live. Woo! So there's at least something to be happy about.
Can
right,
confirm
guys.
I played a number of games on both At Eternity's Edge and Lockdown. They've the few bugs that they've had have all been immediately fixed because I've been playtesting for Wraiths.
Yep.
And it's turned out really well so far.
Yeah, we just had like some issues with setting up the cameras that we had to figure out, but now that I know how to do it, it's very easy for me to do the same process on all the maps. It takes like 10 minutes per map. Very, very fast. So I will be doing that later today. And probably going to be doing that in a little bit, and we're probably going to play some Peep Mode or a little bit. So I might take a break here and then come back with some Peep Mode. If people are still on stream, we might do some more Peep Mode on stream for a little while. And then hopefully I'll get the rest of those maps up at some point today. But yeah, thank you all for watching, everybody, and we will catch you all next time.